Cancer, and welcome to Days of Our Lives Tarot Tales. Let's take a look at the story that wants to come out for your energy. In preparing the cards, the theme that's coming across is one of a soulmate contract relationship. And I feel like this is romantic. This relationship, I feel, has been filled with a lot of struggle. The general sense that I get is that it has been very trying for both parties. However, at the root of it, the purpose of this relationship was that it was divinely ordained, and that the two individuals know this at a heart level. There may have been a lot of drama, a lot of ambiguity in the nature of it, even though, I feel like this was a long term relationship. However, throughout the relationship, it was kind of like, if you were passing notes along and you say, do you love me? Yes or no? It's going to be in between. Like maybe one person is like, oh, yes, yes, yes. I'm going to circle 1,000 times yes that this person loves me. And the other person is kind of like, they don't really circle either or. They put a big circle in the middle so that the part of the circle touches the no, part of the circle touches the yes, you know. And so no matter what you say, you could say, "Oh, it's no. Oh, no, 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 it's yes." Or, "Oh, it's yes. Oh, but it was actually kind of no." Like I'm getting a strong sense that that was the dynamic a bit there. Um, but in this, I feel like at least one party really got a strong sense of self from this. They really had to heal the parts in their heart that may have attracted them to this type of relationship in the first place. It really like shed some light where the holes were, and so those could be, not necessarily scrutinized, but maybe patched up a bit. So moving forward, this person has more inner trust. um, they're more able to open up their heart and expect for there to be some joy and delight, and have this expectation of receiving beautiful, wonderful things, as opposed to pain, rejection, heartache, drama, being jerked around a bit, all while this individual is like pouring out their heart, pouring out their heart. I feel like this person may have just been like the kind of person, I mean, not to be cheesy, but like a Disney princess that's like in the forest feeding the deer and the birds all come to her when she's singing. Just because I'm looking at a card that has this angel that's feeding, baby deer, and the birds are coming and, petting them. And this person just really wanted to receive love. And I feel like this person attracted this relationship because of some hurt, or because there was something they were supposed to learn from it. Um, I feel like this individual may have also been dealing with a bit of depression, and this individual came into their lives because they kind of called it in. It needed to happen to help them heal the places in their heart that were just resonating with a strong sense of depression. Okay. I'm also picking up like Lady in the Water. That might mean something for someone. Morgan Le Fay, looking at the card here, it's a lady in the water with the sword. And so I'm kind of thinking of like, the King Arthur needing to pull the sword out of the stone, except this one's in the water. So I feel like for this woman, her, and I, this is gender neutral. It could go either way. I'm picking up strong feminine energy here, but males can have feminine energy also, and women masculine as well. So please keep that in mind. But with this feminine energy, um, part of this situation, the reason for this experience was to help her to clarify her thoughts and her emotions, and to heal that. Like there's something that she believed about herself that was like polluting the water, and she wasn't able to see that until having this experience with this soulmate in this soulmate contract, which was a lot of drama, but deep down it was something that needed to happen to help clarify, clean up that water. If that makes sense. All right, so the two characters we have here, there, it seems like there's a separation that's happening here. So the first character, this person is done. They're moving on. They are putting an ending to something. And I feel like they're coming out of a space of feeling resentment or feeling like they lost something. Like they're looking at the toxicity and they're no longer worried about what was spilled over. And I say that because I have the Five of Cups reversed. Um, However, this would be a positive thing, except I'm also picking up a card with children, and it says, know that your children are protected. So the vibe I'm getting with this is that this individual is done. They're putting an end to a situation. They're completing a cycle and moving on, but there may be children involved. And this person has kind of is not really as concerned about the welfare of the children, like how it's going to impact them. They're putting everything behind them. They're doing what you're supposed to do when things like that end and you move on. But the vulnerable and the weak ones that are dependent upon I feel like this person is just turning their back and they're really not concerned about the overall well-being of these children. I don't know, I feel like these are their children because it popped up on their side. So I don't think it was like, a step parent situation or anything, but that's to me is kind of a red flag. The other person is having a little bit of a harder time. This person seems like they were trapped in their thoughts, trapped, like they were bound up in their emotions with this Eight of Swords. So I'm feeling like this person may have been, the individual in the beginning of the story that we were talking about who needed some healing, and that this situation was a catalyst for that, with the swords and water and being bound within themselves. Um, there's a lot of actions that were taken against them that they were having to deal with while also being trapped in their emotions, in their mind, not able to move. And I feel like this happened suddenly. Like this individual that they were with suddenly picked another person, I feel, with this Three of Wands in reverse. And it was sudden and it was, maybe there was a sense that it was kind of unrequited between the two of them, but this was like in their face and it was like, boom, all these actions happening, swords falling, rods coming. And this person just was hit with a lot of like misfortunate events that they were having to deal with. And I feel like they were blindsided a bit. Um, Certainly, when we were talking about like the never ending story and how, when people write love letters to each other and, you circle, do you love me? Yes or no? I feel like this person was leading them on and being very ambiguous about it and making it seem like, well, yeah, of course I love you. Oh, but then I kind of don't. And maybe even playing both sides with different people. And so that's why I feel like this individual is struggling more than this other person was. Um, and this really caused this person, because they had all this, misfortune and all this stuff coming at them at once, it's forced them to have to discover their courage and to kind of raise up this inner dragon within them, which I feel is the purpose of this. Because before I got the story about the characters, I felt so good with the cards that were coming out and how the healing and the love that was there. And so I was kind of shocked to see the two characters have this dynamic. But I feel like at a soul level, the reason it felt so good is because this was supposed to happen, because this feminine energy is raising up this energy within her that is being, it's almost like an initiation into her true self, the inner trust within that's going to give her the courage to just be all she can be. That's all I can say. And I mean, tying back when I picked up that Morgan Le Fay, that's, you have to look up that story that was popping up. So that'll mean something for someone. The conflict between the two people is, this King of Pentacles in reverse. I pick up that this other person may have had a lot of resources, material well-being, and was kind of like a bully about it, maybe controlling and abusive. And I feel like that might be contributing to why this person, it's so easy for them to drop it. And this other individual may not have been set up. They may have been heavily dependent upon this person. And this other individual is just like, this is very narcissistic. That's what I'm picking up, very narky, where they just, oh, that's it. I'm cutting it off. I'm leaving. I'm doing such and such. I don't care about what toxicity was poured out or the impact it has on others, including children. I'm just going to keep moving and get my stuff together. And I'm really not bothered, very unbothered by it. Um, this person, I feel like, because they're controlling, even though it's awkward that it's like they dropped everything and they let it go and they're moving on with their life and doing what they want to do. However, they're also watching to see what this other individual is doing. And it's almost voyeuristic. It's like they're getting information with the Page of Swords in reverse about how this person is doing. And I'm picking up that like they might even be enjoying the fact that this person was struggling to get over it. I just honestly, they might have really been enjoying the fact that this person was struggling and it was feeding them and making them feel better about themselves because they had all this, material accumulations and things that they could have. And if they were kind of one foot in and one foot out the relationship anyway, and this person was like the person that's circling, do you love me? And they're like, yes, 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 yes. And this person's like, I'm gonna put one big circle in the middle. This that I feel like that was feeding this person until they got somebody else that is feeding them more, and they like ran to this person and they're going. I've got the Six of Swords in reverse. Usually that's going to smoother waters, but with it in reverse and this person kind of running, I'm also picking up that they may have ran off to someone thinking it was going to be smoother waters, but it's actually a little bit choppier than where they were. Because I don't think that person is as, gushy, gushy, give me your love. I'm going to love you forever and ever. Like this individual was, who was genuine and really had that kind of emotion for that person. I don't feel like this other person that they ran to is doing that just because of the way these swords are falling. So now they kind of have their own situation. But part of the issue with this, maybe that was part of a lesson for them, but for the other character who was really struggling with this, I feel like there was a fear of being alone, a fear of having that loss, of not being loved back, and so they held on. And it's hard for them because maybe, unfortunately, maybe some of the memories that they have of this person have like a more positive tint to them than what it really was, like kind of rose colored glasses about the way things happen. But this is not a fault of this person. I think it speaks to the heart of this individual and how sincere they were in the relationship, that they would have positive, they would see things about this person that maybe somebody else would see as a negative or see as something that's undesirable or not a good thing, and they might run from it. This person kind of, saw the love in the situation and they really felt the connection. And that's because there was one. There was a soulmate contract with this person for the growth of both of them. And that this person, I feel, is probably more empathic and more able to pick that up. And so, because of that, they were honoring that and they really felt that connection, even though it was quite toxic. They could feel underneath that it was something that was supposed to be. Even though it hurt them and it reached out, it like bit them in the butt, it was for their good. So this person is learning to, cheer up, even though it's sad and they're mourning the loss of this. But, living in the moment of what's now, they'll see that this was actually for their good and that there's so much that's been awakened within them um, because of this. I feel like also the fact that these children, there's children in this relationship, the fact that they've been kind of left vulnerable has also awakened the courage of this individual to really trust in themselves, to love, protect, and guard themselves, and also to be a guardian of their children. Whereas they may have been looking at this individual like they were their protector, they were the one that was, I'm thinking about like Knights of the Round and like those Arthurian stories, and you have like the damsel in distress and the maiden, and Morgan Le Fay is not that chick. So if you look her up, like I feel like that's what happened. Like this, she went from being, Disney princess in the forest, you know, I feel like there's still this element of her to Morgan Le Fay in a positive way. And I think it's a balance. And one of the key things about Morgan Le Fay is that there's a um, duality to her. So depending on what story that you hear, sometimes it's all very positive, and she's actually the protectress, and she's the one that's the guardian of King Arthur, the magical protectress, and she was also an apprentice of Merlin. In other stories, she's more antagonistic, and she contributes to King Arthur's death, and then in the end comes back and helps. So it depends on what story you hear. But with this inner trust card, it's a feminine energy in a cloak, and I'm thinking like Jedi Knight. That's what I'm picking up. But there's like black behind, so it's like this duality. It's like a white cloak, but there's black behind her. And when I see that black, I think of like the ego and so on. It's not necessarily not to assign a negative quality, but more so to say that it's about just towing the line between the duality of that. Inherently, this woman is good. This woman is sincere. However, because of this experience that she's had, she has transformed, or it's caused her to go into a state where she's having to see both sides within herself to meet the challenges that are being brought to her by the people around her. Once again, because it's a soulmate contract that was set up, in pre life to bring her to this point. So it's a beautiful thing, a tough story, but ultimately it's a beautiful outcome. Okay. All right. Cancer, that's what I have for you. Thank you for joining me on Days of Our Lives Tarot Tales, and I will see you on the next video.